celebrating 3 years of bringing you the very best in LGBT talk programming. This is Q Talk America.
And welcome to TechnoBabble. I'm guessing that it's episode 31 because my iPad went to sleep. Otherwise, you're on Q Talk America as we're celebrating our 3rd anniversary. And I'm Joe DeGanzik.
And I'm Bradley McComb.
And this is our technology show. It's called TechnoBabble. If you're just tuning in or listening for the very first time and you heard about us from your Uncle Bob.
Uncle Joe Bob.
Anyways, this is our, at least right now, during the summertime, it is our every once in a while technology show. We're generally covering a number of different topics. We will be completely transparent that Brad and I are self-professed Apple fanboys, so it is slanted a little bit towards Apple. However, we do like to talk about the various tech things going on, whether it's gadgets, things like that. In fact, I have to remind myself I was going to talk about something, and I forgot to put it in the show notes, but we may not have time for it anyways. So we're brought to you by our good friends over at audible.com, and they are all about the audiobooks, where they literally have more than 100,000. I think they're probably in the 150,000 at this stage in terms of how many that they have. And you can get a free one if you go to audibletrial.com/QTalkAmerica. And we'll talk a little bit more about them during the rest of the show. But and of course, if you like to stalk people, you can always stalk us at our Twitter handles, which happen to be on the screen just in case.
Stocky.
Exactly.
I know I haven't been using Twitter a lot lately. I've actually been using Google Plus a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I can't bring myself to have to separately use multiple social networks.
Well, I've sort of all but ditched Facebook.
You're not really much on Facebook anyway.
I know.
You or your illustrious partner.
I don't know, but I just like Google Plus. I wish everyone would migrate over there.
It is a very clean interface. It's a nice looking interface. It's beautiful. Facebook has kind of Google Plused itself a little bit, here and there.
Yeah, Facebook's doing the hashtags now.
Yeah, they're doing hashtags. All these kind of little stories and so forth have come out.
Yeah,
I tried to use it to start posting things, and we'll see how it. Everyone is in this tagging mode lately. It's like, oh, tag this Instagram, hashtag me, and tag me on Instagram, and update me on this. I found out actually there were some people at work who really are into Instagram, and like, oh, what's your Instagram name and stuff like that. I'm like, I know I'm on there. As it turned out, I only downloaded the app and I never signed up. So
really?
So
you don't have an account?
No, I finally got an account about a week ago.
I was on Instagram a lot when it was first out there and big, and I was like taking pictures of everything I was eating. I was like, I don't know. It's really cool, and some of the photos that people post on there are just awesome. And it's like you can sort of live vicariously and
just
be in different places.
Because it's just a stream of photos. I mean, literally, that's what it is. And it sort of goes into this thing. There's an app for everything, and I guess there's some people who are able to just consume all social media and all digital media, and they live for it. But I guess I have so many different things going on all at once.
Me too. I don't
have the time.
Like trying to find time to give attention to it all.
All of it all. I mean, and that's...
But I mean, that's the other thing is like people are so attention deficit now. It's like, here.
We have that same problem in getting, listeners and viewers to consistently be part of Q Talk. But, we just keep on plugging away. So
it's all you can do.
It's really all you can do.
It's all a learning curve with this technology as it becomes more and more integrated into like... now it's going to be wearable, of course, with Google Glass. It's going to be on you.
It
literally
is. But I think eventually somehow someone's going to crack or someone's just going to get really tired of it. The easy way of dialing things down. There's settings on Facebook and Google Plus. What do you want to be notified about?
Right.
How many different things. I've
dialed
that
down a lot.
Yeah,
I know you for a while there. Like your phone was blinging every 2 seconds.
But the problem was I didn't realize that when you put things like when you put people on a list on Facebook called close friends, it automatically applies the get notifications option. And what that option is you get everything from that person. Absolutely everything. It doesn't, for most things, Facebook kind of filters down, everything normally just shows up in your newsfeed. If you want an alert about someone or a page, you can go to the little setting and say, get notifications. And then every single thing from that page or person you get
show up and ding your phone or pad.
And so I've been
or
pruning that back. Not that I don't like the people that I was getting those on, but it's just like, it's just too much.
Yeah.
And there's no, I think it comes down to it. I can summarize it in one phrase, one sentence. There's been studies done that show that humans can only really keep up with so many people.
Yeah.
It was 100 or maybe 50.
Yeah. To have really close relationships.
I mean, I really only have close, intimate relationships with maybe 10 people.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are acquaintances, people that I hang out with on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
I follow them on Facebook. I feel like I know them, but really I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the challenge that you see so much stuff on Facebook and you start feeling like you're someone's friend.
Yeah.
And what was funny
it's
was
really just digitally.
Someone on my feed who I met many, many years ago, and then I've only followed virtually lately, but I feel like I know them because I see so much about them.
Yeah.
And they were saying something about they have a birthday coming up, and they said, haha, I'm not really saying that everyone should throw me a party or do something, but I'll just throw that out there just in case. And he tagged 5 people and then another 6 or 7 people. Mm-hmm. All of the people who he probably hangs out with and is generally good friends with. Right. I wasn't one of them. And I thought, I feel sad. I'm like, wait, I shouldn't feel sad. I actually don't know this person.
See what I mean?
I actually don't. Yeah. I feel like I do, but I don't.
And then so it's real feel like emotions from a don't relationship or spilling over into the
and
online.
I feel like, well, if I defriend him or if I turn all the I don't get all the notifications for him, but I just see the updates. If I just remove him from my newsfeed, then I feel like, yeah, but I want to get to know him.
But then you're kind of missing out.
But then I'm wait, why do I want to get to know him?
Right.
Maybe because he's really cute. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. That's a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
Maybe, but he is a nice guy and all that stuff. But again, it's maybe not. Sometimes you have to just go into this thing of, well, am I beating a dead horse? Am I just barking up the wrong tree? But that's neither here nor there. Let's before we move into the Apple thing, and we've got a lot of Apple things to cover, we've got a lot of technology stuff. We want to show off some of the new stuff we've got here in the studio that we for a long time I've said we're going to do this, or we're going to do this, or we're going to be able to do this and this and this. And I figured out a way to save some money and just donate some of my own belongings. And now we can do it. We actually got through an entire Joe and Babe show, and we didn't have any faults or failures, which is great.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this thing that's been in the news, because again, it definitely affects technology. This whole PRISM thing, the spying thing, the NSA. But I think even beyond what the current news is, some people have resigned themselves to say, we're probably being spied on. They're probably reading everything that we do anyways. Yeah. So who cares?
Right. And I sort of
is
fall
that
into
kind
that
of
camp.
like it doesn't matter. The only thing I remember recently that there was an article that the government said, we really have a lot of trouble reading iMessages, which kind of was like, okay, so anything I sent through an iMessage is probably safe. It's safe from hackers, definitely safe from the government.
That's too funny. I don't know. I mean, it seems like every, 5-10 years, something comes out and then people freak out and they're like, oh my God, the government's spying on us. But I'm like, okay, well, remember the whole carnivore system thing?
Right. And that was 5+ years ago?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably that was right early 2000s, late
9/11.
It was even before then.
Oh.
Yeah,
wow,
because when I worked for an ISP, I remember the carnivore system was being installed. And I don't know. I mean, they
Brad
didn't tell
can't
us
talk about it, otherwise people in black jackets will show up shortly.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm just sort of in the camp that if it's on the internet, it's not a secret. I mean, yeah, you can encrypt stuff and
no matter how much you lock down
no matter how much you lock down,
whatnot.
There's always someone who can sit there and have a key and spend time and effort if they really wanted to crack into it. So I mean, it's just sort of a thing that as society, we've bought into this whole computer system thing. We know all our information's out there. If you're going to be paranoid about that, then
it is. And
you're going to be stuck.
and you have to sort of also take everything with a grain of salt because,
right.
okay, say you're just Joe Schmo, right?
Mhm.
You're just a guy out there or a gal. And, okay, so you have some secret stuff on whatever, your secret life as a porn star, your secret life as an art collector, whatever it is.
Right.
But if you're essentially nobody, and I don't mean to call everybody nobody, but if you're not a celebrity, if you're not a politician,
Someone of like high importance to the government to maybe be monitoring or something.
if
Is that what you
someone
mean?
like found out, oh, you're in love with steel I-beams or something like that, you have some weird fetish thing or whatever, no one's probably going to care because they're going to be like, Joe Bob is this. Oh, well, who's Joe Bob? No, not really. Now, and I'm not really, none of us on Q Talk, maybe Clayton and a few other people are celebrities. I don't consider myself one. I didn't start the network because I had an ego.
Right.
I started it just because I wanted to do a podcast, But again, I still have some status. I'm probably like maybe a G-list celebrity.
You're a minor celebrity.
I'm below Kathy Griffin, right?
You're going to create a minor stir.
That's right. If something came out about some kind of secret life that I had, maybe it might cause some kind of a thing, but people would probably be like, whatever. Maybe we would get more publicity about it. But, you have to take this with a grain of salt. But obviously, if all your passwords get hacked and all your accounts get hacked,
right. I mean,
then you're in trouble in a whole different way.
I mean, I'm not trying to belittle the fact that
yeah.
if you get hacked, like that one journalist whose iCloud got hacked and then they remote wiped his Mac, they remote wiped his phone, that's systematically.
That connected nature
that's
holy crap.
Yeah.
Backup people
right.
always have a backup.
Always have the backup. A backup to the backup of a backup.
My policy, I have an encrypted backup of everything that stays within my personal space, and then I have an unencrypted backup that stays in a safe deposit box, locked away. But anyways.
Yeah, I mean, and that's sort of like what I do too. And I was trying to explain that to like a coworker of mine, and she's like, well, why do you keep everything on the computer? Like, what if the computer melts down or like
That's
the whole
why you
internet?
have backups.
I was just, no, she was just saying like if something catastrophic.
Oh, catastrophic.
Yeah. And I was like, well, if something catastrophic to where like the whole internet in the world, then I think there's bigger problems than like me trying to retrieve my bank statement or something.
I need my to-do list for today. Yeah. Like.
But yeah, also someone was commenting on the electric car thing. They're like, well, what if like the electricity goes out and you can't charge it? And I was like, think about that. If the electricity goes out, then the pumps that run the gas station aren't going to be pumping your gas. So you'll have gas in your tank for a little while, but then you'll be out too. You're going to be out.
Yeah. It's kind of like, and also you have to think about it. I mean, we live in a pretty stable region in terms of there's no floods and earthquakes and storms here.
Right.
There's monsoons, but it's to a point. Even lately, though, even if storms get power knocked out, power is restored back much quicker than it was 10, 20 years ago.
Right.
Because I think they're aware of how to build these grids.
I mean, there is all that stuff that our grid system, our infrastructure is definitely need for an update.
Need of help.
The poor stuff, yeah.
And you look at actually what makes me cringe before we go on a whole tangent on this. What makes me cringe is we have these beautiful sort of modern cities, and you just have these ugly power lines strewn everywhere. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And of course, if you can afford it, or if you can get the grants or loans and things or lease deals to do it, and you can get solar to supplement things, then that's helpful. If you live in a solar capable area, obviously we're here in Phoenix, and it's 105 outside, so there's plenty of sunlight. You guys, I know, are you going to do that probably on your house coming up, which would be really exciting.
Oh, I know. That's like, we're going to be all over that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, getting back to the spying thing, there were two parts that came out. It was before the Prism thing. There was the part that the NSA, or was it the FBI, had some taps into Verizon and a couple other phone companies' metadata, basically kind of like lists of calls.
Right, like,
but not the content.
Right, like they didn't have what you were saying or who, they had like your number, the number you dialed to.
Yeah.
The length
the contents
of the call.
Your phone bill.
Yeah, essentially like on a breakdown, I guess.
You think about it, they send that stuff through the mail. If someone wanted to intercept your mail and sneak in on what you're doing, it's possible. This is
Yeah.
not. I think it's worse because they're like, well, they can just harvest it and they can put it in a database and they can track it and they can do all this stuff, and it's kind of like.
And then everyone's like, well, if you don't have anything
not
to hide,
doing-
then you don't. It's like,
it's just a weird thing, and you do have to. I like to talk about Star Trek all the time, and kind of when you get to there, but you think about it in some of these sci-fi movies that, in many ways, people don't necessarily have a lot of privacy because you look at all these things like the Enterprise could be like, well, search the databanks of who did this and who did,
yeah, or where
boom, there it is. Where
computer,
were
where
you?
is so and so?
Where is so and so?
He's right here.
He's
literally.
right here, or
Yeah.
he's right over there.
Yeah.
I mean, that
I
future
mean-
has far less privacy if you think
Yeah.
about it. But yet everyone's like, wow, that's so cool. It is
Yeah.
cool, but it's a balance to
But
it.
it's like,
Who can use it and who's authorized to use it?
yeah.
And are there hackers trying to hack into all this stuff? Seems like in the sci-fi future, there's less
There's
hackers.
no hackers.
There's no
yeah.
hackers.
There's no malicious people.
Everyone's happy. And
Except, the antagonist in the movie.
right, yeah, exactly. So I just think that there was that piece, and there was Prism, which everyone is now saying there either is no such thing as Prism, or we didn't give the data to them. And I think this article was saying something about they're trying to reassure. Is that right?
Yeah, you mean like the whole Facebook and Microsoft
Yeah.
spying like accounts that were monitored and tracked. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just sort of in that camp that
It's probably
online
happening.
is- yeah, I mean, it's
probably
probably
happening.
and
If you're going to post articles of like you want to bomb the whole country, you're probably going to get a call from
yeah,
somebody.
I mean, you're probably going to show up on somebody's radar.
yeah.
But I mean, and I'm kind of okay with that because that allows me to like go about my day and not worry about that stuff because
That's
somebody
right.
else is worrying
Someone's
about that
worried
stuff.
about it. I mean, you eventually have to sort of give up control of some things. And
Yeah.
You just, that's the challenge of humanity at this point with billions of us.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know. There's how many billion? Like how many billions?
I think it's going to hit 7 billion soon.
There's so many of us.
Stop having babies, people. There's only so many resources on the planet.
Gay population control.
Sorry, I'm drinking from our previous show. I didn't.
I
do you want a
know.
drink, Brent?
I would actually love a drink, but it's kind
Oh.
of too late. We've already started.
It's a little show, but well, maybe if you take a segment at some point, then I can go make you a beverage. Actually, I can get you a strawberryta.
What is that? I'm not a
It's
big
new
drinker,
thing.
so like
No, I
these
know.
fancy
It's-
names.
No,
I'm
it's
just like-
it's actually it's not really fancy at all. It comes in a can. But
it comes to a can.
I saw it at Safeway, and we were because for last year, Sway did an event that was around Bud Light's thing called Limerita, which is like a
Oh,
margarita.
right.
This is the strawberry version of it.
Gotcha. Oh, and I like strawberry. I bought a case of strawberries at Safeway, and we've just been munching on them after dinner, like
Well,
before
how
bed.
about you do this? Why don't we
So-
do this? Our next topic is going to be WWDC. I'm going to switch over to the Apple TV, and you mirror your screen to like the Apple website and chat.
Oh, you want me to do this
Yeah.
one here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go to
This is
you can
live,
start it,
so
and then
let's
I know
see.
it's live production, but we'll make it happen. Using some of our new
All
technology
right.
here.
I'm gonna mirror this, and we'll say mirroring.
So we
I'm-
have some new. We'll show this off in here in a second in terms of how this works. So okay, so do that, and then like pull up Apple's website. We can see Brad's lovely backdrop.
It's just a stock one. It's funny because I had my own custom one for the
Mhm.
longest time, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go back to something stock.
So let's talk about WWDC and just like what were the things that really stood out for you that were really like amazing. While I go play bartender.
All right. So while Joe is playing bartender, let's see if you can pull this up. So it's loading right now. Yes. So WWDC was this past Monday, and Apple live streamed the keynote. iOS 7 was obviously the big thing that everyone was talking about. They also did OS 10 Maverick, which I thought was kind of cool because it gets away from the whole cat name. They made a sort of a joke about themselves, or sort of jokingly said, oh, we're going to call this macOS C Line. And I thought that was cool to sort of see Apple joke about themselves, you know. They tend to not do that a lot. So I thought the whole sort of attitude and presence of the keynote was a lot more lighthearted. It didn't seem so it was definitely the post. Thanks, Joe. Joe just brought me
got it in a little fancy plastic glass.
But it was definitely like the first true post Steve Jobs keynote.
It really was.
And
we saw some new faces too.
We did. Well, I mean, if you don't follow
Craig.
Apple a lot, but Federini, I mean, these were a lot of new faces, maybe to some newer people. But
True.
I mean, when they got up there, I sort of know exactly who they were. But it was nice to see them sort of spread it out, not because Steve usually takes control and it's like his thing. But it was nice to see, you know, the different department heads and, you know, VPs and stuff all doing their own thing. I was kind of hoping that Johnny would go up there, but he sort of never goes up there.
Does.
Like he always does the cool white videos. Yeah. But so yeah, I mean OS 10 Maverick, so that's going to be Mac OS 10.9. That's coming out this fall. Do
you think they're just going to stick with 10 and we're going to get 10.10, 10.11?
I don't know.
Because why would they change the naming scheme now?
The only thing
and
that
not
I could
OS 11.
Yeah.
Is it going to be OS? That'll be the next thing for next year.
Well, so here's the thing. So they're completely redoing like the interface for iOS 7.
True.
And Johnny's been put in charge of that. And so he's also sort of been put in charge of Mac OS, like sort of the whole
Mac
look.
OS, right?
So my understanding is, you know, that's 2 operating systems that you're trying to give a complete makeover. So I think maybe iOS are going to really focus on that, get it done for this year.
Next year.
And then maybe next year we'll see like an interface update for sure, maybe on the Mac too.
And it's not terrible. It's not terrible. It's not old at this point. I mean, it's not really old looking, but it could use perhaps.
Yeah. It's funny though, because if you go back and look from like 10.0 all the way to, it's just interesting. I just sort of like going back and looking at all the UI interface changes over the last decade, you know, it's sort of cool. But sort of speaking on that, like when macOS 10.0 was actually sort of in a public beta, that's when I finally convinced Jake to like try out the Mac. And so he went out and bought the Power Mac G4 Cube to go with macOS X or 10. So it's sort of like come full circle almost with the new Power Mac.
That's right.
It's new design.
I know, like, right? That's...
So they're like, you know, oh yeah, we're innovating and everything, but it does. I mean, they even said Phil Schiller was like, you know, a little bit, you know, giving homage to the Cube, which was a really cool design. I mean, it obviously
really
had its flaws, but so that was another thing that they did on Monday was release. I'm trying to pull it up here. Oh, but you've switched off.
No, that's it's okay. Keep going. I'll watch when you've got it pulled up. I'll switch back to it.
But yeah, so they were just doing, where was I going with that?
The Mac Pro, the new,
the new Mac
cylindrical.
Pro. They actually gave like a sneak peek of it, so I thought that was really cool.
No, it's. I mean, it's cylindrical. I mean, it really. Did you see some? You saw, I'm sure, some of the photoshopped memes.
Yes.
You
like
can use it as
tissue box,
a rice cooker, and of course, somewhere for your cat to hang out.
Right.
It's very 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I just feel like a red light and Hal's gonna come on there. you like.
You know that someone's going to mod like, the thing. Yeah.
But I think it's a very cool looking machine, and I kind of like the fact that they're like, okay, we're sort of post PC, so the desktop itself doesn't have to be a desktop anymore. I mean, it sits on a desk, obviously, but it doesn't have to look just like a box.
It doesn't. And it doesn't have to have all the other things, such as, I mean, it's got its own onboard SSD storage, but everything else is external. But it's like the I.O. is so as fast or faster than like internal like expansion slots now. It's like you don't need a big box to stick cards into. You just plug it into this machine. That's right.
And just daisy chain it.
That's right. It's faster than hard drives anyways. I mean, I think PCI Express itself is still faster than Thunderbolt, but there's, you know, it's still like what's the application, what's the need, what's, you know, if everything is internal and it's super fast, then that's great. And if your hard disks, which are always going to be slower anyways, then it doesn't really matter, I don't think.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of people were sort of concerned that the graphics cards are soldered on. I mean, you're not replacing those graphics cards, but it's I mean, that's sort of their whole new design thing. Like everything is just built in. Like you're not
Scroll down a little
swapping
bit
out.
more. Let's see what the there it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the back of it, which lights up, which is kind of, I mean, it's a gimmick, but I mean, it's kind of cool that when you turn it around, it lights up. But I mean, everything is it is basically kind of like an iMac. It's a power iMac, right? In a sense,
Essentially.
in terms of, because
Yeah.
everything is permanent
Right.
inside.
Yeah. I mean, and then now it's like the iMac with bring your own monitor. Although,
That's
I
right.
mean, definitely supercharged in
But
there.
the old Mac Pro was, or the current one was bring your own monitor. So,
Well, right. But I'm just saying it's like an iMac, but Right.
No, you're right.
so. But I mean, I don't know. I saw.
I think it's beautiful. I
think it's beautiful too.
I would
I want
buy
to see it
one
in person.
if I have a need for it, and if there's enough money. What do you? Because the current Mac Pro was around what, 3,000?
Yeah, it was like, I think gosh, I haven't even priced one in a long time because they were so outdated.
Yeah.
But I want to say, for some reason, I want to say like 2,700. Seemed
And
like.
what do you really think they can? Because this is
So I've been reading that
powerful.
like just the parts
Smaller.
itself is gonna lend this thing to be like,
4 or 5.
yeah, like $3,000 to $5,000.
And
And the
they're
fact that
not
they're
pricing it for
actually making
everybody.
it
Here,
in the U.S.
They're not making it in China.
And you know how he was saying that they're actually getting parts from one of the states he listed was
Right.
Arizona?
Yeah.
I figured, well, Intel's got that big plant out
That's
there,
right.
so the processors
gonna
are probably being
come in from
manufactured
here.
here.
Which
in
Intel's
Arizona.
a huge presence here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then they're gonna take them over to Texas and put them together.
Assemble them.
Yeah.
It could be 5,000. And at the end of the day, this
yeah.
thing is,
It's
very powerful.
Very niche, very for a certain kind of user.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
High-end video production, graphics, obviously. But I know,
It's really, I just think also that it's, again, bravo. People, and Apple prefaced their WWDC at the beginning, like they never have before, with a video. A kind of like, we're
Yeah.
sorry that it took so long for us to announce something video. It almost felt like that. And it was, we could play it for you, but we would probably get popped on YouTube for it, or Apple would come over and knock on our door saying, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, you can always just see it yourself.
You can always see it yourself if
Yeah.
you go to Apple's channel. But it was talking about that they have this deliberate, process of designing and going through iterations and cycles. And it's no doubt that Apple designs way more products than they release. Like they just
They
just
a
don't
lot
leak
of stuff makes
compared
it
to a Samsung or
the
somebody.
the junk pile. Yeah.
And so this is an example of something people said for years, well, the design has stayed the same. It's boring. It's old. Apple's probably been working on this for 3 or 4 years, I would guess.
Oh yeah, easily.
Because number one, you had to wait for all these new technologies to come into being, so they could only spec it out so far, and then
And that's why even a few
getting
years
the
ago
heat
they're pushing the Thunderbolt so much.
That's
I mean,
right.
It's been slow to adopt.
that's right. But they knew, I
But-
think, they're going to be the ones to use it, and then boom.
Yeah.
I think there's 6 Thunderbolts
Yeah,
on this,
6, and then
which
it's
is just
4
for-
USBs.
Yeah.
And then 2.
That's right, because
It's
you could
2
daisy
Ethernets,
chain,
right?
Yeah, because you could have 36 Thunderbolt devices on this. That's unbelievable, and this is Thunderbolt 2.
Yes.
This is not even Thunderbolt 1.
No,
so this
yes.
is 20 gigabits or gigabytes, not 20.
No, it's bytes.
It's
Like,
bytes.
Yeah.
It's some absurd. It's an absurd amount of power. I mean, it's
Yeah.
absurd. But and I understand it because I mean, I have a really nice machine that was spec'd out by my previous person at where I work for video editing and web design and so forth. And having a lot of power is helpful, especially when you're doing like 1080p. And this, they were saying you could run 3 4K monitors.
displays, yes.
That's a lot of pixels. That's a lot.
That thing is pushing a ton of pixels at that point.
And we're not touching it here. We'll show you where. Oh, actually, you can see it behind me. But I mean, we have 3 displays running off of. We're actually on our PC here. We are out of expansion now. We are.
Are you?
I think
slot
there's one
port
there's
and-
one port. There's one USB port that's not filled. and there are no more PCI Express expansion slots.
Really? Yeah.
Everything is taken, and we're running and we're stable. So
Mhm.
I'm kudos to the guy that put the machine together and put it up on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting together a really nice machine for us. Basically, you didn't know you were doing it, but he built it as a high-end gaming machine,
Right.
and then went back to console games.
Oh, is that what
So
he did?
That's what he did.
Yeah.
And he put it up, and it was only a few months old, and a real nice machine. But
yeah, I don't know. I've
let's talk about iOS.
Okay. I'm excited because we had this conversation at breakfast a few weeks ago, how we were sort of getting kind of bored with iOS.
It's
and
nice. I mean, but it's as Apple said themselves. I mean, it's a little dated,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's yeah. Are
I
you on
think so.
their iOS site?
Oh no.
Or I
let me-
can do it. I can take this one if you'd like. Just turn off mirroring.
Oh yeah. Do you want to take control?
I will take control.
Mirroring off.
On.
But yeah, iOS 7. I'm super excited. I just think it looks pretty, and I know that's sort of shallow, but
No,
I'm
it's
also really
but at the end of the
pretty.
day, there's part of this that is very important visually for basically giving you a whole new look, Come on. There we go. It's important to have a brand new design because they were actually talking about this on All About Android this week.
Yeah.
That many of the operating systems are all coming to the same conclusions. The sort of the thinner fonts, more elegant interface, less 3D. Even though they did this thing with all these layers, they're really saying that layers are very important. And there's the piece somewhere it was on here. With the let's learn about more of the all new design, the parallax shift, similar to kind of the way that Lytro does their thing.
I thought that was really cool.
Very cool, and that's all being done with software. It's all being done,
Because I mean, the camera's staring at you, so it can know where you're looking at and sort of shift things around.
Do you think it's the camera or all the sensors that are actually making that
Well,
happen?
I'm sure it's a
all the
combination
gyros.
of
It's probably
both. I would imagine, maybe. I don't know how they're doing. It's
really
magic.
It's magical. That's right.
No.
It is completely magical.
No, I'm sure if we looked at like the SDKs and stuff,
we would find it. There's an
see.
example of the them talking about the actual layers that will the top layer is not going to move, but the middle layer and your background image will move a little bit too. We can zoom in a little bit on that. But it really is. The skeuomorphism is gone, or skeuomorphism, whatever. I think that's the correct term. And albeit this has some elements, it really does have some elements from Windows Phone. It has some elements from Android, and it also has the cards from WebOS.
WebOS.
Would you like some huevos rancheros, as we say right here in the Southwest?
Yeah. No, I think so too. I mean, like, you're sort of constrained to the screen,
That's right.
when these designers go to design stuff, it's like, okay, here's our screen, here's our user, how much more can we cram onto there without trying to put a little mouse and stuff.
That's right.
I mean, I just always the Blackberries that had the little mouse that like you had a little scroll
That's right,
wheel
the
and
little
stuff.
scroll
like it
thingy.
literally had a little mouse on it. I
did.
just thought that was so funny.
I'm wondering also what there's been some calls recently because they didn't talk at all about the iPad version of it and how it will be potentially
I think
different.
They just released some photos and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I just was reading an article this morning about that, how like they weren't quite ready to show it off on Monday, but I mean, essentially, it's going to be the same, just scaled up and moved over to the iPad.
But some people have also said that they really need to make some adjustments, or the same people who've been calling for multitasking, multi-screen windows.
Yeah, because you've got that more real estate, so it's like you should be able to do a little bit more with the larger screen, and I would be all fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't find a lot of purposes sometimes. I just find I personally think that if you do the sort of notifications right, in terms of, okay, I'm on Facebook and I got an email. Okay, maybe it might be nice to read more of the email and then just dismiss it. But you do get the banner. It does give you some information.
Right.
And I just don't know on these devices, again, if you really need that much multitasking, and if you're going to then go to, like a MacBook Air, which obviously they introduced the new Air, which
they did,
has an absurd amount of battery life.
Right. But just sort of just on iOS for another second, I was just sort of like taking a poll with like general non-techie people. And I was just like, oh, have you like seen anything or heard anything about iOS 7? And everyone who has asked is like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I want to upgrade my phone the minute it comes out.
Really?
And
that's great, actually.
Yeah,
that
so like
just
the
in.
general, like.
Yeah, they were all, I would assume they were all.
They are all
iOS users.
Like they all have iPhones. My one friend who's on Android, could care less.
They were
of course, but
I think we know who that friend was. But anyways,
but yeah, no, I mean just like not people who are not like following the WWDC and everything,
but they
have already
heard about it,
and
it goes into the news feed. So
it does, yeah.
Sense.
I mean, I even heard it on like, what is it? KEZ here in the Valley, like they were even talking
Apple
about it.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, so I mean, it does make it into the mainstream rather quickly. I mean, anything that Apple does sort of, trickles out there, sometimes floods out there, but yeah, no. So I mean, just general users are actually super excited and can't wait for it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I think it is going to be pretty amazing, and there's been some discussion that some of the things that we saw are not necessarily the final version. Like there could be
yeah. I mean, I've been reading
shifts
a lot of people are saying
and
like it's still quite buggy. It's definitely not baked and ready for mass
production. Have it. Because people have the developer edition, obviously, at this point. And what's funny is I'm technically an Apple developer.
Oh,
because I signed up for it. I signed up for the free plan, so I'm like, I guess I could download it. I don't know if I really want to have it and have an unstable phone, but I could. I probably should have for this, but then again, I don't think they're supposed to actually show it off.
I know it's funny.
All the NDAs and everything.
All their promotion photos show it on the white iPhone.
Everything is on the white, and if you think about it, it's going to look really good on the white.
It's gonna. That's what I was saying.
On the black, it's going to be great, but it's going to be a little more visual jarring because it is more white. It is brighter.
I was talking to my friend the other day, and I was like, what color is your iPhone again? And he's like black.
And it's like I've got both.
I was like,
well, you have yours as well. Yours is custom.
Well, yeah, mine's custom skin, but my iPad is white and my phone is white too.
That's right.
So, but yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, I think it's gonna look so pretty on the white phone. Again, going back to the prettiness.
Back to that. Well, and there is. I mean, I will say it. I mean, I only recently got this case in the past month and a half or so because I sort of just was like, well, the phone's going to get sort of knocked around a little bit more in the car and things like that. And let me just get it so I'm not constantly scratching it. But it does at least show through so that you can see it's an iPhone 5.
Yeah, definitely.
So I liked that because otherwise I just like to use the products kind of naked except for the touch, the magic cover, whatever it's called.
Oh, smart cover.
Smart cover.
Yeah.
I can never remember the word. Smart, magic, touch, there's always the different things. Let's see.
I know
we're jumping around kind of like they did. Let's do our little review. It seems like light bulbs have always been a big thing that we have reviewed here. And let me turn off my mirroring so that you can do this. We're going to do something that no one has done before. Actually, people have done before. People have done it before. We found through news outlets and reviews that CREE has released a light bulb that is pretty amazing. But we also want to show you that it is possible to actually hold on to an LED bulb after it's been running for, well, let's see, I turned these lights on at about 12:30, so almost 2.5 to 3 hours at this point. So Brad's going to mirror his phone and then take the camera, and we're going to go ahead and do this. And he's going to show me in the studio. This is our fantastic studio lights. They're really not, but so anyways, I'm going to get up here, and this is at the top of our complex here. We've been testing various different LED bulbs, but and maybe it would be helpful if you can actually hear me.
Yeah, I was gonna say move your mic just
yeah,
to
move the
squeeze.
mic a little bit closer. So anyways, what I want to show you is that I can literally grab this bulb. This is the CREE bulb, the 9-watt, 60-watt equivalent. I can literally hold on to it. It's kind of toasty at this point, but it's not like going to burn me. So I literally have my hand on it, and I'm going to unscrew it. Come on, there we go. And this is the one that's actually fairly light in weight. And put my headphones back on here, and you can kind of show it to the audience at home. And we'll take. They can pose with the drinks. Yeah. But anyways, the CREE bulb is 60-watt equivalent. It is a warm white. They sell it in a daylight white, and they also have a 40-watt version. The 40-watt version takes only 6 watts of power. And this has an amazing dim range on it. It will actually go all the way down to 1% without clicking off early. It kind of pops on a little bit early, but if you bring it to the right dim level, really low, and then ramp it up, it's actually pretty amazing. And it is, like I said, it's been on for 3 hours. I can hold it comfortably in my hand like this, and it's fine. It has a strange
I was going to say, does that have sort of like a silicone feel to it?
It has a sticky feel.
Yeah,
it's not really sticky, but it's kind of like this weird material, and everyone's commented on it. They don't know.
Oops.
The bottom
The
is
bottom's
hot.
really
The heat sink is hot, but the bulb is not.
Okay, yeah.
We don't have OSHA insurance. Warning, yeah.
Heads up there. Okay. Yeah. But that's really cool. So LED,
and they call it the light tower. Now CREE, it's a little LEDs and a little tower inside there. The only drawback of it is the very top of the bulb is not. This part doesn't emit a lot of light, but we still get a lot of light out of it anyways, and it really is pretty amazing. And for the price, $13.
I know
versus
when you picked it up
$50
at your local.
That means you could actually replace a bunch
box.
of these, and you would see payback in like 6 months or a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, CREE themselves has been making. And we can show the brand. There we go. CREE has been making the chips for decades. They're a U.S. company, and I think they actually make them here. They might make them overseas, but now they're actually making bulbs as well. They've made some bulbs and kind of put it under a different brand name and sold it like as Home Depot products and things. But this is like their name, their product, and it's pretty darn amazing.
That's pretty cool, and it's like easily accessible. You don't have to like special order that.
No, they're at Home Depot exclusively for the moment, and I'm sure they'll expand it later. But and it's the first bulb that really truly is super bright. Again, it's not super hot. And in terms of heat output, it's a beautiful white light. If you want the warm white or the daylight, this is the warm white. But it's pretty amazing. Let me go put it back in.
Plug it back in. Yeah, I mean, because I know you've been testing a lot of LEDs over the years, and the dimming thing is the big thing, because I know you especially, but we use dimming a lot in our house.
And most LED bulbs. Let me just get this back in here. Most LED bulbs, for people who just want some general dimming, it's going to work just fine. But for people who want to do like the really theatrical kind of home theater style dimming, let me take the let me take this back on the regular live shot here. There we go. The dimming on most of them is difficult, or you have to really, really pay a lot of money for them. Even the Switch bulb, which is a beautiful bulb, and it's $45, and it's glass and it's liquid cooled. It's gorgeous in chandeliers and all that, but its dimming range isn't the best either, and it does have some flicker. This one didn't flicker.
Yeah.
So really, I was very, very impressed.
You don't have it on a dimmer here, do you?
We don't, and I didn't do a video. I'm going to do a video later, and it'll show off the full dim range. It was shocking. In fact, I danced around my apartment. I'm like, finally!
Really?
I didn't dance. I didn't, but I was very happy. Yeah. I was really, really happy, and I wrote them a message on Facebook, and I encouraged them. I said, please introduce all the other types of bulbs very quickly so I can convert everything over.
I know that's the thing now, is now they have to start doing it in all the different form factors.
They really do, yeah.
Bulbs come in such an array of shapes and
so many different things. And I have I generally use flood and spotlights because I like to highlight things and I like to uplight stuff.
Yeah.
I think the only traditional bulbs in my whole place are like in my closet in my bathroom.
Yeah.
All the screw-in little bulbs and things like that.
Right, the standard A shape. Yeah.
The A shape, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's you can get them at Home Depot nationwide, actually, and they're on end caps and they're bright blue. I think actually I've got a let's see. Are you still mirroring, or can I?
No, yeah, you should be able to take
Okay.
over. I
take it.
discontinued my mirroring.
Let me show you what they look like, just in case you want to run out right now and buy one.
But yeah, so Joe's gonna switch his. There we go.
Yep. They Well, this is the website for it. I guess actually we could have gone.
Yeah.
Let's just do this. But I was gonna try and show you the packaging.
Now, can you order those online or just at the Home Depot?
No, you can order them online as well. Looks like their website's having problems, or we're having problems, or something. I was just trying to find what the
lighting facts. It looks like the nutrition label on it.
I know, isn't that funny? It's totally like
That's funny.
It's totally like that. But yeah, you can get them online. You can get it at the actual Home Depot stores themselves. I was just trying to actually go to just show you what the product packaging looks like, because it's all kind of like a blue theme, and well, they didn't have it. Oh well, but anyways, it's a really amazing bulb. We don't make any money from that endorsement, but I really am excited about the fact that the state of the art is advancing. The next thing that they're trying to work through, and this is companies have different ways of dealing with it, is normally when you dim a regular light bulb, because it's basically like we've talked about, it's a little fire, basically,
right.
a little
You're just
burning heater.
Turning down the fuel.
when you turn it down, you get that nice fiery glow, and that which in a sense there's been studies done as to why people respond to different types of light, and it's because we're used to the sun, and the sun is a big burning ball of hydrogen. So as the sun gets,
it's just what our eye is used to seeing, and sort of our brain processes.
And that warm light. LEDs don't change color as they dim, so companies have been experimenting with adding some red and orange and things like that, and adjusting those
to sort of almost artificially make it do it.
So we're going to see that get solved, I think, really permanently in the next couple of years, and it's going to be cool to watch. And I'm happy that the LEDs really have come around, because the usual thing that people put in place to save energy is the CFLs.
The CFLs, right.
Which, they have mercury, but that only is an issue if you drop them and break them. But generally, they don't give off a lot of very pleasing light.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of like a standard light. Like, you're not using it for accenting or anything like that.
It's just not, I just don't like it.
So, but yeah. It's so funny because at my old house, I had CFLs, but they were in the shape of like a spot. Almost.
Oh, yeah.
Or not a spot, but they were like the canned lights. But those, I almost liked them because when you would flip them on, they would have to go through that warm-up process. So like in the morning, you would flip them on, and it wasn't like, super bright.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, so in a way, I kind of liked that.
And LEDs come on immediately.
Right. So if you can dim them, then that's even better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And they can, so it's really, really impressive. So last up, I just want to do this briefly.
Okay.
And I can run it this time, is we've talked a lot about the various pieces of technology on the show, and obviously technology is important to us here at the network because we're internet-based and we don't have just a big antenna sitting somewhere, although I'm sure that would be important to people too. Let's see. Let's go to the Apple TV and mirror, and I'm going to mirror my camera.
And this is the new gadgets.
This is kind of the new gadgets, yeah. So we have all of this stuff. People actually haven't seen this either.
That's a cool shot.
This is actually, if you look this is from behind the microphone kind of thing. I should have actually set this up in a dual shot so you could see what we're seeing too. But anyways, this is our control panel. This is our touch panel that runs Wirecast. This is for our primary display for the Windows PC. We are post PC studios because the audio still routes without using PCs, but for all the video stuff we have to have a PC, and we didn't go with a Mac because it was going to be too expensive to buy a Mac Pro, basically.
Oh,
I know, right? Yeah, I know. I really would have liked to do that, but if you'd like to donate to us, we'll happily change it out.
Gladly take one.
So of course there's Brad over there, and we've got all these people. People say like, why do you have all these iPads? Why do you do this? And the fact is, they all serve different purposes. You know, we can have our kind of our silly sound effects on this iPad, which also can run some music as well as a backup. We can switch it around because these are on these really cool stands. So some of our shows, actually, they'll flip the iPad around and they'll let the host who sits in Brad's position.
Oh, just like bring this over?
Bring this over, and they'll run the sound effects, they'll run some things. And the engineer, some shows actually, their host is not the engineer. They have a separate engineer.
Right.
And then we use Call-In Studio for our virtual call system, which basically we get the audio in and out of it through a Skype call. And then we can actually use it as a virtual switchboard. It's meant for podcasters. It's meant for anyone who needs kind of a virtual switchboard, and they bill you just by the minute. It's pretty cheap, and we like that. And of course, we have our traditional sort of audio mixing console, which has grown over the years significantly.
It's definitely gotten larger.
This is a Behringer. I think this is the 1830. I don't even remember the model number. We'll put it in the show notes. But anyways, and we've got our headphone amps and so forth. We've also
Facebook messages.
I thought I turned those off. Alert! Let me turn that off. Oh, great. This is what happens when you're doing it live. But anyways, and then this was our solution to the Apple TV issue, because Apple TV, we were going to use the Apple TV, which is sitting back there. You can just see it hiding out back there. There he is. You can see it back there, but our solution was going to be using the Apple TV as a digital streaming hub. But due to Apple's, I think, deals with all the content makers, they have forced the HDCP flag restriction on all streaming media, even if you own it. Mm-hmm. They just said, we don't want to even worry about.
They're like, we're just going to put this
block
tag
it all,
flag
and because we're pulling that in through a capture card to bring it into Wirecast, we couldn't actually stream it like we wanted to. So we've got a switcher in the back, and then we actually have the digital AV adapter, and then we've got one of our iPod Touches, our 4th gens, that actually does our digital video out, audio video, and then that goes into Wirecast. So it's a wonky solution. It's not the solution that I wanted, but we can still do mirroring and we can get it done, just not as easily.
It works.
But it works.
Yep.
And we got one device for Skype. We got one device for our broadcast, which is our Shoutcast app, and then we've got another whole iPad that we can do all of our recording on for audio, and then we can do some editing for short audio files anyways. Otherwise, we upload everything and process it through a online app called Auphonic. And then we've got a third monitor over there, and we've got our program monitor, so we can see what we're doing, and we can see remote guests and all that good stuff. But otherwise, that's the thing. Oh, and the little webcams, yes. Tiny little webcams, which we're about to outfit with zoom lenses so that we can actually get a little bit tighter optically. And then that one on the left is our wide shot that we have a widescreen adapter hacked onto it. Yeah, we've got the guys next door who are getting ready for working it out. And then there's the other little camera right over there.
I kept hitting my...
Oh, you kept hitting your thing?
I kept hitting my headphones for some reason.
Brad doesn't know how to use headphones, apparently.
I'm used to earbuds.
Yeah, that's right.
Or the Bose ones.
The Bose. Brad has that fancy headphones. But that's...
Well, I just borrow Jake's.
Oh, well,
I steal his.
Nice. But that's... I just wanted to kind of... This is...
Yeah, a quick
I'm
tech
actually promising myself not to add anything else.
I know.
We'll throw
you keep saying that.
I keep saying that, but we're done. I mean, it kind of... Because now we can do all this in terms of we got streaming, we got mirroring, we can throw
it's
photos
all
out
there.
there.
It's all right there.
What I wanted is that we, as hosts of shows and producers, can make more interesting shows. We had the video thing, but it's like, oh, we're just going to have cameras? Like, that's not... I want to sort of be, albeit on a much smaller setup, I sort of want to be Twit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're sort of
and they do a lot with a little too.
Yeah,
they've got that rotating. We thank if any of you are watching, we're going to try and tag you in something. If you're watching, thank you for the inspiration to kind of become a network, even though it's not a technology network, but the inspiration came from Twit, and the idea for Twit was pushed by Jake and Brad to me, saying, "You gotta watch this. That's amazing. Don't you remember Sarah Lane and Leo Laporte?" And I'm like, okay.
Back on pop siren and Rev 3 like before she even went over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways,
so
big
thank you
fans
to Brad and Jake for pushing me towards watching Twit, and then thank you for Twit for kind of being this tech inspiration of, wow, you can do so much with so little. They have that whole rotating kind of control board and their brick house, and they started in a small place kind of like this with the cottage and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, thank you guys.
So anyways, yes.
On our 3rd anniversary here that we're
3
doing. Can you
years.
believe I've been working on this whole thing for 3 years?
No. Well, yeah. I mean, I just remember you literally were in your studio apartment.
It was a studio apartment.
Studio
literally.
apartment. Studio.
One last thing. This is not technology related, but this is we're kind of throwing this out to all the different people, or all the different all of the different shows are broadcasting this. We are going to be due to our relationship with a broadcaster, an LGBT broadcaster who also has a kind of a straight based show out of California, who's going to be helping us out with the Supreme Court decision coverage.
Oh,
like
nice.
literally, you'll be able to go to Q Talk America. We will be the CNN of the gay community for when that comes out, and we want to show you this promotional clip right now.
Are you as excited and maybe even nervous as we are about the upcoming decisions that will be handed down by the Supreme Court of the United States later this month? Hello, everyone. I'm Randall White, host of Equality Radio here on Q Talk America, in anticipation of what will surely be a historic day. The staff here at Equality Radio is hard at work putting together expert guests, background information, and legal analysis for a solid day of live coverage. We are greatly expanding our show that day to fit the occasion, and we want to be sure you have a forum to express your thoughts as history unfolds around us. There may be no other day more important in LGBT history than what's about to happen. Equality Radio on Q Talk America will be here for you on that day.
Very cool.
It is very cool. We thank
that's
them
awesome.
for doing that and for being part of the Q Talk family. That's how we've grown coast to coast coverage now through syndicates and through all kinds of things. So we're out of time, sadly, as we always are when we're doing these.
Yeah,
breaks.
it goes by so fast.
It really, really does. I just got to find our closing music to get us out of here. Playing all these different things
As you're tapping away on your
tapping away on the
iPod.
iPod Touch. There it is. So we'll be back probably in a month or so to cover some more technology news, and we'll resume our normal schedule in September. But otherwise, you can catch all the latest episodes at qtalkamerica.com or on iTunes. .tv, either one. And be sure to subscribe, find us on YouTube, and otherwise, check out all the show notes, and then we'll have all the information in there about what we've mentioned. And I'm Joe DeGanzik.
I'm Bradley McComb.
And we'll
tech to you later.